Face stood amid fallen swords, haunted by the weight of past battles. His teacher's words echoed, "Death always follows strength." As memories resurfaced, a familiar blade touched his throat once more. Reborn as a prince, Faye embraced laziness, hoping to escape bloodshed. While others trained, he napped. Yet even now swords lingered near, and someone always watched, waiting for him to awaken. Roused by Redifa's shouting, Faye grumbled and pulled the blanket closer. As third prince of Disburg, he ignored duty, clinging to sleep. To him, peace meant staying far from swords and responsibility. Faye mocked Redifa's desperation, hiding deeper under the blanket. She threatened to summon the chief maid, confident she wouldn't dare. Faye smirked until a calm voice and a turning doorknob interrupted everything. The chief maid entered with grace, her calm voice masking firm resolve. Faye's smugness vanished. In a flash, blankets flew, and retaliation struck loud, painful and swift. The prince finally sat up. Faye leapt from bed in panic, but it was too late. The maids launched a coordinated assault. Clothes were yanked, feet grabbed, pride shattered. His eyes widened, realizing resistance was futile. A powerful slap silenced Faye's struggle. The chief maid, Fairy Fanyagustia, stood firm. "That's no way to treat a lady," she scolded. Faye groaned, humiliated. She was terrifying and well over 100. Dragged helplessly through the corridor, Faye cursed his misfortune. Pleas fell on deaf ears. The royal maids had prepared everything, including sealing escape routes. His fate was sealed, destination, the throne room. Dragged before the throne, Faye met his father, King Philip. The king's tone was firm, no scolding, just duty. Faye's carefree days were ending, his royal role was about to begin. The king revealed a virus was under siege, its capital invaded. Aid was demanded, and it had to be royal. Faye froze. This wasn't Glaria's mission. Against his will, he'd be sent instead. Faye protested, suggesting his sister or brother instead. But the king refused. She was promised elsewhere. His brother was heir. Faye, the third prince, was expendable. His mission? To prove royal allegiance. The king assured Faye he wouldn't need to fight. Fairy would accompany him stronger than most knights, loyal since the last king's reign. Faye listened quietly, then replied with resolve, understood. Faye accepted with a grin, claiming he'd flee if things turned bad. He had no plans to fight or gain glory, only to survive. The king sighed. His son was incorrigible. Faye declared himself the trash prince, desiring nothing but peace. The king ordered supplies prepared. As the doors closed behind him, Faye muttered to Fairy, "I'm sorry," perhaps more serious than he looked. Faye encountered his older brother Glaria, who had tried to take his place. But the king refused. Despite their differences, Glaria gripped him tightly, demanding one promise. Survive. No matter what, Glaria reassured Faye, calling him kinder than he admitted. "If you're scared, run. I'll cover you." Faye smirked, brushing it off. But deep down, his brother's faith settled something inside him. Glaria admitted his own fears during his first battle, trembling despite victory. Yet Faye stood calm, joking. Glaria watched him closely, puzzled. Was his brother truly fearless, or simply hiding deeper scars? Glaria's quiet words caught Faye off guard. "You're strong." A buried memory surged Faye alone, blades drawn against monsters. Fairy watched silently, unsettled. Something hidden behind that smile made her hesitate. Faye stared ahead, memories flashing blood, blades, screams. In his past life, he shattered on countless battlefields. Now no fear remained. He wouldn't tremble again. He had already broken once before. In his past life, Faye gripped his sword to survive. Surrounded by death, he and his comrades fought endlessly. It wasn't for honor or conquest, they fought simply because they wanted to live. They fought endlessly, refusing to fall. But death claimed them, one after another. Friends, comrades, each battle cost lives. Faye survived, but the weight of the dead carved scars deeper than wounds. Everyone around him died. Yet Faye kept fighting. When the dust finally settled, he stood alone, no comrades, no joy. The world named him the Sword Emperor, but he felt nothing. Faye had slain millions, carving through armies alone. But at the journey's end, he found only a mountain of skulls and a silence so deep, it screamed of endless loneliness within. He cursed his master, cursed his fallen comrades, and yet kept fighting only to survive. The future held no hope. For a swordsman who fought alone, all that remained was loneliness. In a flash of memory and pain, Faye dropped to his knees, sword stained with blood. Fairy froze, calling his name, but Faye just stared, whispering, "Oh," as if awakening. Faye brushed off their praise with a grin, calling himself dumb and clueless. But behind the smile, memories lingered. "Just rely on Fairy," he said, masking truths too heavy to share. Faye smiled calmly, refusing to blame anyone. But deep inside, memories lingered of a sword emperor who chose death over solitude, reborn as a prince. Faye now feared becoming him again. Faye recalled his master's dying wish, a life without swords. Glory meant nothing now. If he could live peacefully, could he also die with a smile, just like his master once did? In this life, Faye chose the path of a trash prince. No honor, no sword, that was fine. He swore never again would he wield a blade, no matter what came. Faye, the third prince, ignored the war-bound tension. As the airship neared land, he napped, unfazed. His maid urged him up, but he joked around, clearly not taking things seriously. They arrived in Afri's kingdom. Faye peeked out, only to hear insults from the crowd below. Whispers questioned his presence. Yet, he remained unfazed, observing the reception with lazy amusement. Faye stretched and smiled, unfazed by judgment. He even admired the honesty of their disdain. His maid fumed at the rudeness, but Faye found it refreshing, far better than flattery. Princess Mephia greeted Faye with mockery and old rivalry. She remembered him clearly, though their reunion was awkward. Faye kept calm, stating his mission, support by royal order, nothing more. Faye listened as Mephia described the crumbling defense. One hero had turned the tide, pushing their army back. Soldiers had fallen. Morale was low. What remained was fear and fading strength. She spoke of survivors too hurt to fight. Many lay beyond help. Faye's gaze fixed outside. One shadow caused this chaos. "Not human," she said. Faye grew silent, finally intrigued. Mephia's voice trembled. She believed fighting was pointless now. Faye listened quietly. She asked him to take charge. He agreed casually, showing no urgency. To him, this was all routine. Faye admitted he was there only as a figurehead. He had no plans to fight. Mephia was shocked, frustrated. He questioned her spirit. How could anyone lead without believing in victory? With a shrug, Faye told her he'd leave the next day. The supplies were delivered. His duty was done. To him, the agreement was fulfilled. The war wasn't his concern. Mephia snapped, furious. She grabbed Faye, shouting that abandoning allies was unforgivable. Faye stayed calm, insisting survival wasn't cowardice. He claimed he'd report the situation, but had no plans to die. Faye dismissed her outrage. He challenged her to admit she wanted the soldiers abandoned. Mephia trembled, furious and cornered. Her outburst echoed through the courtyard. "Trash prince." He didn't flinch. Tears welled in Mephia's eyes as Faye calmly walked away. His maid approached, questioning him. He repeated it simply, he had no intention to fight. But she asked, "Do you want to?" Faye's maid urged him to fight back to grow stronger. But he refused. Living as a trash prince meant peace. To him, peace was worth more than swinging a sword. He believed swords only led to ruin. Power made people arrogant. Once they held a weapon, they mistook it for strength. He had seen it all before, lives ruined by blades. In his past life, blood and steel were constant. People lost themselves the moment they embraced killing. He warned, picking up a weapon meant heading straight for death and never returning. Faye walked away, firm in his resolve. He would never hold a sword again. His past taught him too much. The maid quietly followed, her expression shifting with quiet understanding. They were greeted by King Rylek. He thanked Faye for coming and apologized for Mephia's behavior. Faye's presence mattered, his restraint, not his sword, still meant something to the kingdom. The king acknowledged the war was grim but clung to hope. He asked Faye for one last favor, not as royalty, but as a person. Faye hesitated, unsure what to say. King Rylek asked Faye for one last favor: take Mephia away. She wouldn't agree to flee, but if Faye convinced her, Afries might still endure. He trusted Faye completely. The king called Faye smart, calm, and kind, someone who'd protect Mephia no matter what. Faye was taken aback by the faith placed in him, but he listened silently. After a pause, Faye offered 5 days. If he couldn't convince her, he'd leave. For now, he walked off without a plan, searching for an answer in motion. Faye joked about his reputation, calling himself a trash prince. Though mocked, he brushed it off. His maid followed, knowing he was going to see the battlefield himself, quietly seeking truth. She realized his intent wasn't escape, it was confirmation. Could they really not win? Faye stayed lighthearted, but something serious stirred inside. Even the king supported him, offering soldiers and a horse. Memories echoed past training, being called weak and too kind. Faye asked himself, am I naive? His maid smiled gently and answered for him. Fine being naive, right? Faye didn't deny it. Faye reflected that personality matters, especially in war. He and Fairy passed through the Great Gate. Their journey had truly begun with no plan, but a fragile hope of victory. They walked into a quiet, wounded land. Faye said nothing, but his expression turned serious. Around them, soldiers and survivors waited tired, broken, and unsure. He hoped they'd still find a way. Far ahead, a lone soldier stood defiant, cutting down enemies despite exhaustion. Faye watched silently. A man with no strength left, yet still fighting this, was the battlefield he stepped into. The battlefield was a graveyard. Corpses littered the ground. Faye realized they were surrounded. Survivors were likely spies. He warned Fairy if they didn't act now, they'd lose all options to escape. He sprinted back, urgency clear. A soldier staggered toward them, injured but alive. Faye called out he was from Distberg, not the enemy. The soldier collapsed barely conscious from blood loss. Faye caught him before he fell. The soldier gasped he came seeking support per the alliance. Faye called to Fairy. The wounded man needed healing. There was no time to waste. Fairy tried to heal the wounded soldier, but he insisted she help others. He knew he wouldn't make it. She agreed, setting off to find and save those she could. Faye asked about the soldier's mission. He'd fought alone to protect survivors. 2 had already died. He begged Faye to save the princess, and the king his loyalty unwavering even near death. Faye admired the man's resolve but stayed firm. He'd honor the plea to save others, but not the royalty. He had no obligation and made sure the soldier understood that clearly. Despite fatal wounds, the soldier found peace. If his death could protect the nation, that alone gave meaning to his life. With pride and relief, he declared he could die smiling. Faye gave quiet instructions. Help was coming. He stayed calm, yet a question burned in his mind. How could anyone die smiling? Fairy walked beside him, echoing the same longing. She too wished for that strength to smile at the end. Faye looked back as the soldier struggled upright. Silently he reached for something his sword bloodied, but not yet dropped. The soldier's final words were clear. Live not for yourself, but for others. Faye watched in silence as he smiled one last time peaceful, believing he died for something that mattered. The dying man handed Faye his sword, a symbol of purpose. Faye hesitated, haunted by past memories of others who died smiling. He couldn't forget their faces or their peace, but he couldn't accept it. He'd always fought alone for himself and died with regret. The idea of living for others, fighting for someone else, felt impossibly distant. For who? He asked. Faye claimed he had nothing left to protect. But the dying soldier's fading smile asked otherwise. Are you sure? Fairy, silent and steady, placed a sword in his hand. She questioned him softly. Was there really nothing? No one worth protecting? Faye paused. Her voice was trembling, her eyes honest. Her words hit deeper than any weapon ever could. Something to protect. Something that mattered. Faye looked at her. No glory. No throne. I'm fine being a trash prince, he thought. But even then, maybe, just maybe, he'd fight. Faye drifted into memories of comfort, past moments, and the people he'd met. But a threat emerged suddenly. A monstrous warrior charged, targeting them. Fairy gasped, caught off guard by the danger. The attacker lunged without hesitation. The soldier stepped forward. Faye and Fairy stood between fear and action. Something changed. Faye's eyes narrowed. He saw what must be done clearly, without doubt. I've changed my mind, Faye said. As blood splattered and the enemy fell, something inside him returned. Not for glory, not for duty, but to protect. Faye had chosen to fight. Faye stepped forward, ignoring Fairy's cry. He gripped the sword with resolve, no longer avoiding responsibility. He declared that he would fight for Aphres, for its people, and for the fallen. The soldier watched with fading vision. Hearing Faye's vow, he smiled through pain. He called himself lucky, having witnessed such resolve. Faye caught him as he finally collapsed from exhaustion. With his final breath, the knight revealed his name, Roxaria Bonest. He asked Faye to protect the kingdom. His hand fell still, leaving Faye with both a name and a duty. Roxaria died with a smile. Faye stayed beside him for a moment, then calmly assigned tasks. He would go to the king. The fight wasn't over, just changing form. Fairy rushed after him, pleading. She reminded him what he said before, that fighting meant losing, that swords led only to death. She begged him to reconsider before it was too late. Faye listened quietly. He hadn't changed his belief. If he could live without raising a sword, he would. But now, he'd chosen the sword not because he wanted to, but because he must. Faye admitted he once believed he could die peacefully without fighting. But Roxaria showed him otherwise. To honor that, Faye would fight. He asked Fairy to draw her sword too. Faye lowered his head, serious. If Fairy wanted to stop him, she'd have to do it with strength. He challenged her not out of anger, but out of resolve. Fairy drew her sword. For the first time, she would fight for others. Their blades clashed not as enemies, but as allies testing resolve. Faye smiled. He didn't think it was wrong. With the wounded stabilized, Faye and Fairy stood apart. A duel would decide their course. Fairy set the stakes. If she won, he'd retreat. If he won, she'd accept it. They charged with sharp focus, blades clashing in quick succession. Neither held back. Between strikes, Faye joked about taking a break. But their match was serious. Every blow meant something deeper. Fairy pressed harder, pointing out the sword wasn't fit for him. Faye agreed, admitting it didn't suit his build. But even with mismatched gear, he didn't stop moving forward. Fairy launched a heavy blow, striking with strength and fury. Faye barely blocked the impact. Her stance and presence showed no hesitation. Her mind and body were trained for battle. Power surged from the ground. Fairy's strike caused the black energy to explode upward. Faye staggered, eyes wide, realizing she had grown far stronger than before, and she wasn't holding back. With calm resolve, Faye revealed his blood-based technique. A dark blade formed from his own essence, his shadow sword. This time, he would fight with everything, no matter the cost. Fairy questioned the strange weapon. Faye confirmed it was magic, a blood-based skill called Spida. He explained it came from his previous life, where everyone had unique powers inherited from their parents. Blood-based skills were the only form of power in his former world. Faye admitted the truth was complicated. Meanwhile, Fairy launched her next attack, and their blades clashed again sharply. Fairy pushed forward with force. Faye defended, noting the mismatch. Her weapon felt heavy, his own too light. The duel continued, steel striking steel, both reading each other's limits and resolve. Faye launched a swift attack. His blade flew, disarming Fairy in an instant. Stepping close, he declared victory. She froze, surprised by his skill, and the sudden end to their duel. He confirmed his skills hadn't dulled. But his current body wasn't enough. It lacked strength, reach, and durability. If he overdid it, it would break. Fairy silently acknowledged the obvious truth. Fairy realized Faye wasn't weak, just restrained. With that strength, he'd never be called a trash prince. He was a sleeping lion, finally showing the power he had hidden all along. Faye admitted that holding a sword once felt meaningless. But now, with purpose clear, he chose to wield it again, this time to protect what he truly valued, not just survive. He wanted to fulfill the wish of the knight who showed him meaning. Fairy moved, vowed to follow if he died. Faye promised not to die, smiling confidently. Faye declared he'd fight for Ephorus, but under 3 strict conditions. Use Mephia's magic item, keep his nickname, and never praise him not even once. He would fight without recognition. Faye requested the use of Mephia's magic item and proposed his strategy to win. Though skeptical, the king agreed to one condition. Faye smiled calmly, confident in what comes next. Fairy pressed him again. Could he really win? Faye explained that victory didn't rely on strength alone. Sword skills were just tools. Strategy, understanding, and timing were key to defeating the hero. In a distant room, the so-called hero smiled darkly. Surrounded by nobles, he uttered a chilling challenge only one man could kill him. And he asked that man directly, "Kill me?" An urgent knock startled the maid as she rushed to wake the prince. He reluctantly responded, reminding her not to break relic rules. But clearly, the situation was dire. Still groggy, the prince joked about his outfit, masking concern. She informed him 25,000 enemies were advancing. His light demeanor faded. They were truly being cornered with no escape. The prince gave the order to prepare all soldiers. Without hesitation, the command spread. Facing overwhelming odds, he stepped forward, resolve sharpening in his eyes. "Let's begin," he said firmly. Faye stood with his troops, calmly watching the enemy approach. Though outnumbered, he showed no fear. A soldier had gone to retrieve the magic item. Time was running out fast. Mephia arrived unexpectedly, shocking Faye. She stole a horse to join him, refusing to stay back. Despite her outrage, Faye joked. But behind his smile, the the weight of war grew. She confronted him. Why fight now? Faye didn't answer directly. Injured soldiers, past regrets, and a duty he couldn't ignore pushed him forward. His decision was made, no matter the cost. Faye remembered a knight's request to protect the princess and nation. That memory stirred something in him. A trash prince once again found purpose through someone he quietly respected. Calling a Phyrus knight's admirable, Faye accepted the burden. Holding the relic, he downplayed its power. Mephia warned him. If he lost composure, she'd kill him. He answered with a smirk. With the battlefield ahead, Faye moved to lead. The maid followed confidently. When asked, she declared herself his bodyguard. Faye, caught off guard, simply nodded, accepting her presence with a sigh. Faye reminded the maid of his promise and handed her his sword, instructing her to protect it. Though teasing, she accepted seriously. Both knew something significant was about to begin. Faye walked out calmly, ordering others to stay back. Panic spread. Why was the prince moving alone? Even the maid joined him. From afar, enemy forces surged forward like a wave. The army charged, shouting fiercely. Faye stood still, composed. As steel clashed around him, one thought echoed in his mind. Every move must land. This was where he truly belonged. As dark energy swirled, Faye thought of his late master. He wondered what the man would say about this path, this war, this power he was about to unleash. A voice from memory mocked his enemies. You're weak. Faye drew the shadow sword. His aura shifted cold and deadly. The battlefield would now feel the weight of a true warrior. With a chilling smile, Faye declared his judgment. The enemy had picked the wrong target. As black shadows flared around him, he stepped forward ready to end them without mercy. Fairy raised her weapon, warning him not to move. But he stepped forward. The enemy charged. Without hesitation, he dashed toward them. Fists clenched, face calm, ready to strike. He tore through the soldiers, sending bodies flying. Fairy stood frozen, watching. Blood flew, but he didn't flinch. A single slash, a fall, silence. Then he spoke through the carnage. Don't look sad. He smiled coldly. Smile even if it's fake. His blade still dripped. It's easier to live insane than weak. His laughter echoed. Fairy couldn't look away. He laughed louder, echoing through the battlefield. Soldiers hesitated, but one shouted to attack. They charged recklessly. He rushed forward, blade flashing, cutting down the first wave without blinking. Fairy stared ahead, her thoughts dark. She knew what must be done. Kill or die, no in-between. He moved like lightning, each enemy a step closer to complete madness. The soldiers began to panic. Some turned to flee. He gave no mercy. Don't let them escape. Blade raised, he cut down the cowards first. Fairy watched, silently learning. He swung without hesitation. Blood spraying wide. If survival meant chaos, he would embrace it. Eyes burning, he pushed forward, shedding fear. Throw everything away, live, no matter what. The soldiers screamed for the gate, orders flew. But he stood firm, dark power rising. Shadows wrapped around him like armor. Kill. That word echoed as he took one step. A vortex of shadow swallowed the field. Screams faded. One soldier pointed in terror. It's moving. The ground cracked. He rose from darkness. And so, everything began to change. With a scream, he unleashed a single swing attack. Shadows surged forward, wiping out the enemy front. One word, kill, shattered their formation. His power silenced blades before they could clash. The battlefield froze. Soldiers questioned his origin. One guessed royal blood, another muttered Distberg. But none dared approach. His strikes were too fast, too deadly. He walked calmly through chaos. Commanders panicked. They shouted orders, demanded retreat. Get her out, one yelled. But the damage was done. Over 1,000 wounded. A boy alone had stalled an entire army. The battlefield quieted. She stood firm, just as told. He approached slowly, bloody but calm. Was it painful to watch? He asked. She replied, I won't let them pass. He questioned her. Was it painful? She didn't answer clearly. Her wish had changed. To protect others, she'd broken her own rules. Picked up a sword. Stood where no one stood. She remembered loneliness. Being protected hurt more than fighting. If she didn't act, she'd feel that pain again. She looked at him. Steady now. Being lonely is painful, she said. He whispered he'd smile while killing thousands. Fairy watched, stunned. Each step she took felt heavier. Blood stained the field, but something about his words struck deeper than the violence. She walked to him, confused by his trembling. Why that face? she asked. He turned, tears hidden behind his hand. Her name escaped his lips, unsure, cracked, fragile. Fairy reached out and held him. "You're not good at faking smiles," she said softly. "People can tell your heart." Her voice carried warmth, something he hadn't felt in years. He called himself weak, doubting his worth. She listened, quiet but present. Despite his smile, his voice trembled. She wanted to speak, but struggled to find the right words. He hesitated, trying to laugh it off. She looked at him, then gently stepped forward. Before he could react, her arms wrapped around him, silencing all his doubts. His eyes widened. No one had embraced him like that. No scolding, no mocking, just warmth. She held him close, without reason, and for the first time, he didn't resist. Faye shielded the maid from the sudden strike, crashing violently into the ground. Dust filled the air. As silence fell, their enemy stood unmoved, watching for Faye's reaction with interest. Rising beside the maid, Faye examined the destruction left behind. Shocked by the precision, he questioned the attacker's intent. The attacker coldly clarified he never aimed at her but could have. Faye confirmed the attack's purpose with the maid. The enemy called him the hero with contempt, provoking unease. Faye stood still, his bloodied face grim, preparing for what came next. She smiles with creepy and eerie smile as she walked towards as she said that this is just a mere illusion play. Nothing more and nothing less. The so-called hero approached with calm confidence. Faye stood his ground, silently observing. He ordered Faye to leave, not wanting her harmed. Reluctantly, she obeyed, sensing the tension between them. As Faye retreated, the hero lunged to intercept. Faye warned her to run, shadows coiling from his blade. With focus and precision, he activated his technique, ready to counter instantly. The shadow sword unleashed its fury, cleaving the ground. Dust and force exploded outward. Faye advanced a step. His strike landed true, the first clear answer in this escalating battle. Faye launched another strike, but the hero mocked his efforts. Each move was predicted. Midair, Faye's counter was outpaced. Blood flew as opponent remained untouched, grinning with cruel satisfaction. Faye stared in shock as the hero stood wounded yet smiling. She asked if he noticed. Confused, Faye tensed. Her expression darkened. Something wasn't right. He braced himself instinctively. Darkness surrounded Faye in an instant. His footing vanished. Suspended alone, he questioned the scene. Was this reality? Looking around, he muttered the only thing that made sense in illusion. Faye realized he couldn't see or hear. The enemy's illusion skill trapped him completely. Calmly analyzing, Faye noted how other soldiers were helpless too. He tried to grasp its mechanics. Dismissing it as mere weakness, the hero mocked Faye's state. Faye stood silent, still caught in the illusion. Outside, the hero casually told his men to do whatever they wanted. A soldier rushed at Faye, weapon raised. Despite orders to hold back, he struck. Steel clashed. The illusion faltered slightly. Shock spread as Faye endured the blow and countered immediately. Faye began fighting through the illusion. Soldiers rushed, blades drawn, expecting an easy kill. The hero watched closely. Surprised as Faye resisted the illusion's effects and moved freely within it. The hero dashed in for the kill, but Faye countered instantly, slashing one soldier down. Blood scattered. The illusion trembled. Faye hesitated mid-swing, his eyes shadowed with inner conflict. Faye stared at the fallen enemy. His blade dripped blood, but the man still breathed. "I couldn't kill," he muttered. The hero watched in disbelief. "Hero," he whispered, shaken. The hero mocked Faye's condition, believing him helpless. Faye replied calmly he couldn't hear, but could still feel vibrations through his sword. His instincts, not senses, guided every motion now. Despite being trapped in illusion, Faye adapted. Reacting to sword vibrations, he moved before attacks landed. The hero's illusion wasn't broken, but Faye fought through with pure reflex and experience. Faye's blade cut again. In pain, the hero laughed. Then, screams echoed nearby. Faye turned calmly, already aware of what had happened. The hero realized Faye knew everything all along. Faye recalled a past illusionist, comparing his current foe's weaknesses. Calmly, he stood unshaken, unfazed by the hero's tricks. He challenged the enemy's pride with confident eyes and steady stance. Cornered, the hero panicked and attempted to negotiate. Desperation set in as he proposed surrender and alliance. Trying anything to escape defeat, Faye silently watched, unmoved by the cowardly retreat. The hero stood alone among fallen swords. Faye's silent presence grew heavier. Death lingered in the air. Faye's unspoken answer made it clear the battle wouldn't end until one fell. Faye declared he wouldn't let the enemy go. Trust meant nothing. There was only one outcome, one narrow path to survival, sealed by a decision neither side could easily accept. Faced with a twisted offer, the hero shook. Cornered and overwhelmed, the suggestion clawed at his pride, his fear. His trembling eyes reflected the cold truth Faye had laid bare. Consumed by rage, the hero exploded in fury. He unleashed his power recklessly, screaming and vowing vengeance. Faye remained motionless, ready. The storm around them was nearing its peak. The illusion broke. Faye stood in silence, reassessing. His senses returned, but Idis was nowhere to be seen. He confirmed she was still inside the zone, hidden and unpredictable. A sudden movement behind him triggered instinct. Faye's body twisted as he deflected the ambush. Idis had closed in. Faye launched himself forward, refusing to give her a second chance. Faye's blade extended in a decisive thrust. Idis faced him directly, too late to react. Their positions reversed. The battle now hung on one final, precise blow. Faye's strike connected, but something was wrong. A hidden blade pierced his side. Blood leaked as he froze, eyes wide. The tables had turned without him realizing the danger. Staggering, Faye barely remained standing. Each breath grew heavier. He looked up slowly, hand to his face, trying to understand how he was still alive. The enemy approached, calm. The enemy smiled with ease. Faye had survived the encounter again, barely. There were no more attacks, just acknowledgement. The clash ended with quiet words and a lingering sense of tension. Faye stared in disbelief. The person before him, his master, appeared alive and unchanged. The battlefield faded from his mind. He could only whisper one word, barely able to believe it. The master smiled gently. Soldiers lowered their weapons. A memory played out, one filled with comfort and longing. Her voice echoed with a message of peace, distant from the fighting world. Faye cried out, overwhelmed. He reached for her desperately. This was the reunion he longed for, his master, his comrades. His words trembled, unable to contain the sorrow held for years. Faye's voice trembled with longing. He spoke his truth, unaware the figure before him was not real. His master's form embraced him, perfectly imitating what he had most desired. The illusion worked. Ida's skill had taken full effect. She smiled, knowing the victim had fallen. It was a flawless trick, targeting his heart instead of his senses directly. Blinded by emotion, Faye didn't sense the danger. Idis drew her blade with intent to kill. The others watched, stunned, as a silent betrayal unfolded in front of them. Faye's mind shattered the illusion. Memories of betrayal returned. With clenched fists and rising fury, he whispered a vow. This time he would end it. His sword moved with resolve. Faye recalled his past training. His master had challenged him brutally, demanding real intent. Without the desire to kill, he was weak. That lesson now echoed louder than ever. Every detail returned warnings about his shadow blade, his overconfidence, his inexperience. Faye had struggled, but his master never gave up on him. The battlefield had always been his real teacher. His master smiled back then, even while breaking him. Deep inside, Faye knew the truth: his master longed for death. Now he had to become strong enough to fulfill that wish. Faye steadied his resolve. With fire in his eyes, he declared this time would be different. Idis charged again, blade raised. The battlefield trembled as their powers began to clash. Darkness surged between them. Idis screamed with hatred, vowing to kill him. Soldiers watched, unsure. Shadows spilled across the field, engulfing ground and steel as Faye endured the assault. The army panicked. The spreading shadows threatened everyone. A captain gave the order attack, even if it risked hitting Faye. To them, a hero without blood on his hands was useless. As the army attacked, Faye struck the ground, shielding himself and Idis. She looked shocked with a sharp glare. Faye silenced the battlefield. He had no intention of stopping now. Faye declared the truth. Every shadow, his or others, was within his control. The soldiers hesitated. He had finally mastered his power and was ready to prove it to his teacher. With unwavering focus, Faye unleashed multiple shadow blades. If one failed, he would strike again. His intent was final. The sky cracked, matching the weight behind every word and swing. Faye's body bled, but his determination deepened. He summoned shadows, hundreds, then thousands. Each one sharpened into a weapon, his control absolute. The battlefield darkened beneath the weight of his resolve. From the sky, blades rained like judgment. Faye's oath was clear: destroy anything in his way. He embraced his violent will, abandoning hesitation. This time, no one would stop him. Faye locked eyes with E-Dice. He vowed to end it permanently. His shadows surged forward. Soldiers gasped, witnessing overwhelming force. The storm of swords marked the turning point of this war. The soldiers scrambled to seal the gate. Panic spread. Faye lowered his hand over his eye, whispering to his mentor's memory. This time, he would end it completely and decisively. He announced the attack. Thousands of shadow swords would fall at once. His madness burned through the silence. Everyone would die except him and E-Dice. The world would finally understand. Faye raised his sword high. A terrified soldier screamed. The skies darkened under summoned blades. His voice cut through the chaos. Kill them. Judgment was coming and no one would be spared. Thousands of shadow blades descended like a storm. Soldiers were struck down without warning. Panic and screams filled the battlefield. No one could stand against the sheer force Faye unleashed. When the dust cleared, silence stretched across the mountains. Faye stood alone amidst shattered swords. He breathed heavily. The battlefield was now his isolated and unchallenged. No one could interfere. Kneeling, Faye remembered his teacher. This moment, this duel, would be the end of it all. He grinned darkly, prepared to repay the one who shaped him through battle. E-Dice lay broken, pierced by countless blades. Faye stood over her, unmoving. His mind accepted the truth his mentor was gone. There was nothing left but the final step forward. E-Dice begged for mercy, struggling to speak. Faye approached calmly. He reminded her of his warning survival required killing him. Her plea held no meaning in the world they'd created. She screamed at him, calling him a monster. Faye didn't flinch. He simply asked her, hadn't she taken lives too? The weight of their actions rested equally between them now. Faye stood firm. Swordsmen killed, there was no honor in begging. The number didn't matter. With calm determination he silenced E-Dice, rejecting pity and claiming the burden of a killer. Her body collapsed. Faye turned his back without regret. The field was quiet now, filled with fallen blades and silence. The cost was paid. No more words were needed. He looked out at the aftermath. That familiar blood-soaked landscape stretched far. Faye exhaled. He had seen this scenery before, and yet, it still felt unbearably heavy every single time. Faye stood still, overwhelmed by regret. His thoughts drifted. Was he ever capable of being noble? Every path he chose after drawing his sword had led him toward death and solitude. Tears welled up. A gentle touch brought him back. Mephia embraced him, asking softly not to show such a painful expression. He finally let his guard fall in silence. News arrived despite everything. No one from either side had died. Relief broke through Faye's hardened mask. For the first time the weight he carried briefly eased. Faye stood silently as the maid smiled, acknowledging his actions. The war ended. Offerus was victorious. For the first time Faye saw peace, if only slightly different than before. They look at the sword as the maid said that this is Arfus' victory, and all they did was not such a pain. It makes everyone protected, and this looks warm. 3 weeks passed. Faye rested under peaceful skies. War was over. He prepared to return to Distburg, now unfamiliar with the calm that followed a life shaped by bloodshed. Offerus and the northwestern nations signed a ceasefire. The enemy collapsed after losing their Shaunen leader. Mephia's swift offensive sealed victory. Despite damage, the results overwhelmingly favored Offerus' side. Faye reflected silently. No one from Offerus died. He protected everyone. But holding a sword only for others wasn't enough. Now, he would carry it for his own sake too. Faye lay resting. Mephia approached, asking about his missing maid. They exchanged small talk, eventually sitting together. Though distant at first, Faye admitted he preferred solitude over crowds and celebration. Mephia offered company. Faye accepted. Their conversation turned serious. She confessed her past resentment toward him, questioning why her father respected him. Faye listened quietly, understanding the weight behind her words. She admitted she misjudged him. Despite the title Trash Prince, Faye was kind, genuine, and selfless. Mephia couldn't stand how people still misunderstood him, just as she once did. Mephia hesitated to speak her mind. Meanwhile, high-ranking officials debated Faye's identity as a hero. The decision was made his true role must be hidden for the safety of nations. The king justified silence. Faye was more than a political tool. He was their savior and friend. He needed to be protected, not for glory, but for his own peace. Faye smiled. He accepted being the trash prince. Mephia quietly respected it. Just for tonight, they agreed to live in that fragile peace, no longer hiding behind reputation or titles. Mephia approached quietly. She addressed Faye not as a prince, but as a hero. Her voice was sincere. For all her past actions, she bowed and offered true thanks. Faye listened, surprised. Mephia, speaking for all of Offerus, thanked him for saving their kingdom. Her gratitude was genuine. Faye's guarded expression softened. He quietly replied, "You're welcome." She tried to return his sword. Faye stopped her. "That blade," he said, "belonged here." It wasn't a weapon of exile. It was the sword of someone who chose loyalty. Faye offered the sword, but Mephia paused. She would accept on one condition. Not a formal gesture, but something personal. She asked him to dance, in their own unique way. Mephia drew her sword. This dance would be a duel of words, blades, and feelings. One final exchange, face to face. Tonight, they would speak the truth neither had shared before. Faye stepped forward, sword ready. Mephia stood her ground. It wasn't about fighting. It was about understanding. Their swords would speak where words alone had failed. The night belonged to them. Faye slept deeply after returning. His maid panicked he'd skipped protocol and slept through official duties. The entire household was in chaos over his disappearance and sudden, unreported recovery. Faye learned that Fairy took a vacation while he rested. Latifa confirmed the rumor. Faye joked, teasing that if she wanted, she could worship him like a war god. Latifa asked about wild battlefield rumors. Faye brushed it off, laughing. He joked about being lazy and far from heroic. But even then his words couldn't hide the truth. Faye's older brother arrived to escort him. Their father had requested a personal report. Though surprised, Faye followed, knowing this meeting would carry more weight than any battlefield story. While walking, his brother asked about a virus. He wasn't interested in war updates, only Faye's feelings. Noticing a change, he smiled, saying Faye looked happier now than before. Faye hesitated, but admitted he made a friend maybe. His brother laughed, playfully patting his head. Faye protested, but he couldn't hide the smile. For once, the world felt lighter. Faye returned home and was welcomed by his older brother's kind words. Though brief, the praise stirred something unfamiliar inside him. But the peace was short-lived that evening. A young girl burst in, consumed by grief and anger. She envied Faye's strength, blaming herself for her powerlessness. Her outburst overwhelmed the courtyard, clashing emotion with the calm. Faye snapped, shouting that strength never guaranteed the path one wanted. If weak, he could have died with everyone else. The strong are lonely, their blades stained with bitter sacrifice. She charged forward, blades clashing, heart trembling with conviction. Though frightened, she declared her resolve. No one else should die. Even if she cried, her sword would never fall back. Side by side, they trained. Her words carried a vow to grow stronger and protect others. He remembered similar words from his past, recognizing her conviction as once his own. He smiled, gripping his sword. Her ideal mirrored his own long-lost dream. Though painful, he wouldn't deny it. Not anymore. If she still believed, then he would fight too. She looked at him gently, clutching the sword. Her eyes carried warmth and trust. He watched in silence, uncertain how to respond. Her decision spoke louder than any words could. Memories of past voices echoed words from mentors and comrades urging strength. She walked forward, not for glory, but for her people. If ever she fell, she hoped for support. A token exchanged. Symbol of purpose. He recalled his mentor's hope. One day her efforts would be recognized. Until then, she would grow stronger for the sake of those she vowed to protect. He smiled faintly, remembering those who had moved forward. Each face in his thoughts had carved a lesson. Their belief in ideals lingered, even after their battles had ended. A sword stood silently at a grave, surrounded by flowers. Their shared beliefs now rested in others' hands. The fight was over, but the will to protect lived on. Latisse reflects calmly on his missing arm, calling it a choice made for someone important. His explanation stuns the boy, who can't understand sacrificing strength just to protect another person. As the discussion continues, Tiara mocks Latisse's choice. The boy, annoyed by her remarks, listens as Latisse suggests he'll someday care for someone enough to protect them without hesitation. Latisse admits the one he wanted to protect was his teacher. Teasing starts about a love story, but Latisse insists it's misunderstood though Tiara grins, unconvinced by his defense. Latisse sits in quiet reflection while his companions laugh nearby. He remembers a harsh world, one ruled by swords, where survival meant sacrifice. A single wish had once driven him. He recalls the girl he swore to protect, the strength he sought to gain for her sake. That promise, once simple, now weighs heavier with the passage of time. Years later, as voices fade into the crowd, doubt creeps in. He wonders if he was truly strong enough, if he ever really protected the one that mattered most. Fi was finally enjoying a rare day off when a maid arrived with a message from the royal family. Without hesitation, he prepared to escape and preserve his break. Fi leapt from bed and dashed for his backup route, but every exit was blocked. The maid had anticipated everything. Desperate, he turned to the one window left untouched. Quietly pushing it open, Fi crawled out, only to run into the maid already outside. She smiled, casually claiming she was cleaning. Fi froze, realizing he had no escape. Latifa caught Fi mid-escape, dragging him back without mercy. Despite his resistance, she calmly requested his travel gear. Fi protested. Unaware plans had already been made for his departure. A week later, Fi arrived at Linchul, the neighboring water country. Confused about his purpose, he questioned the trip. While Latifa reminded him of the upcoming royal birthday gathering, Fi learned the invitation was from his brother, not for politics, but to join the celebration. Though reluctant, he accepted, sensing a rare warmth in his brother's unusual request. Fi reluctantly agreed to a walk, feeling coerced by Latifa. She insisted it was sightseeing arranged by Gloria. At the docks, Fi spotted a soldier in Disberg's uniform fishing. The soldier recognized Fi and panicked, recalling a past failure. Fi remained calm but direct. Their encounter stirred memories of a lost horse, redemption, and embarrassment before royalty. Latifa teased the soldier, trying to appear dignified. The soldier awkwardly tried to defend his position. Eventually, they all sat together in silence, quietly enjoying the calming ocean wind. While sitting by the sea, the knight questioned Fi's sword. Suspicion rose over its secrecy. Fi admitted to carrying it for show, masking deeper reasons and in order to conceal. Despite the casual setting, concerns lingered. The knight voiced unease about the city's quiet tension. Fi noticed the lack of foreigners and energy, sensing the calm hid something deeper. Fi acknowledged the warning, offering a sharp remark in return. The knight laughed it off, grateful to help. Fishing brought him peace, though shadows of caution still surrounded them both. Fi tried to slip away under the pretense of food, ignoring orders. His casual escape drew mild reactions, but suspicions quietly formed. He sensed the city held deeper concerns. As he ate, Fi reflected. His brother never forced him here, meaning this visit was strategic. The unusually large escort hinted someone powerful orchestrated this trip without his consent. The maid confessed her role in bringing him, prepared for consequences. Fi let it go, understanding the real reason. In a crisis, they might need someone able to kill heroes. She firmly declared her intent to protect both brothers, even at the cost of her life. The realization of her limits during their last battle made the responsibility weigh heavier. Despite being denied rest, she accepted her role, vowing again to guard them. Her grip on the sword tightened, a silent promise echoing in her mind she must not fail. Hearing her conviction, Fi responded clearly. He wasn't ready to lose her, his words were quiet but decisive. They would move forward, not with glory, but through mutual protection and resolve. Fi acknowledged he'd changed. Once mocked, now he faced conflict head-on. Her words surprised him. She admired his growth. For the first time, he felt his path might have value. She quietly called him cool, recognizing his intent to protect others. Though embarrassed, he accepted the praise. A silent agreement passed. She would wait, and he would keep moving forward. Yet Fi remained conflicted. To others, his strength defined him, but he saw only what was lost with each fight. Holding his sword reminded him how far he still fell. Fi watched her leave, unsure how to respond. Her calm support left him shaken. He remembered another girl, one who challenged him, fought by his side. Smiled despite danger. That girl was Tiara, his former companion and rival in strength. Though different in manner, Fairy reminded him of her capable, kind, and willing to sacrifice everything without hesitation. Tiara had died protecting him. Her final words echoed in his memory. Now, standing alone again, Fi swore to protect those precious to him, even if it meant his death. Fi stood firm, determined not to fail again. The weight of past losses still haunted him, but now war loomed. Linchul's declaration made clear another battle would soon begin. Someone with creepy smile and full of meaning say that it will be going to wage war for sure, even though he told him this in advance, since they were friends before. Fi arrived in Linchel and was greeted by Varys, the second prince. Their meeting was formal, though Fi's expression remained dull. Varys mentioned hearing many stories about him from Gloria as they sat for tea. Varys explained the absence of his sister, who was caring for their ill father. Fi listened quietly, gradually sensing the political weight behind this visit. Varys spoke of succession. With the king near death, Varys would become ruler. AFI reacted with restraint, but tension grew. War loomed, and both realized this conversation marked a serious beginning. Varys declared his intent to unify the nobles and ascend the throne. He would raise an army, claiming it was for peace, though Fi quickly questioned his motives and sincerity, despite Fi's challenge. Varys insisted it was a necessary step to secure peace. Fi doubted his reasoning, recalling past conflicts. Their conversation grew tense, revealing a deep ideological divide. Varys dismissed Fi's concerns and ended the talk. Fi, frustrated but calm, chose to leave. As he exited, his thoughts lingered on Mevia, uncertain about the future Varys envisioned. Fi was left alone to finish his tea. Varys exited with a smirk. Fi quietly pondered Varys's behavior, suspecting deeper motives behind the prince's charm and calculated demeanor. Fi asked directly about Varys's real reason for raising an army. Varys avoided a straight answer, redirecting suspicion back to Fi's reputation, while Fi insisted he only wanted to confirm. Faxify recalled what he'd learned about Linchel 5 years earlier, its royal children, factions, and internal tension. He suspected Varys's actions stemmed from deeper political struggles tied to succession and alliances. The Queen of Linchel was assassinated during a tea party. Blame fell on Sarsden radicals. To avoid war, Linchel compensated by ceding land. Tensions calmed, but resentment lingered among many. FAI received 7 amaryllis as a parting gift. Warwick hinted at meeting again. Their coded message, symbolizing reunion, made Fi wary of the political game woven around subtle gestures and intent. Fi reflected on Varys's motivations. Despite rumors of cruelty, he saw a prince bound by duty. Varys, no longer restrained, declared his revenge would begin now with power finally in hand. Fi confronted Varys about his true intentions. Varys claimed revenge was his goal, but Fi doubted it. He saw no hatred in Varys's eyes, only someone pretending to hold a grudge. Fi offered advice, urging Varys to choose a path with fewer regrets. He didn't stop the war talk, but he pointed out there were better, less destructive ways forward. After Fi left, Varys sighed. Alone, he quietly acknowledged Fi's naivety, yet couldn't ignore his words. Doubt lingered. Varys sat in silence, knowing he'd been challenged more deeply than expected. After returning from Varys, Fi shared his thoughts with Mevia. He sensed Varys's words were insincere despite the tension. Fi acknowledged his kindness and hoped to help if asked. Fi explained that he wouldn't intervene unless Varys requested it. A prince shouldn't overstep. He believed friends should offer help, not force it. Mevia quietly listened, unsure how to respond. Fi admitted feeling hurt that Mevia and Varys hid their feelings. Still, he smiled gently, saying he'd wait. Mevia remained silent, but something in her eyes shifted, softening, considering. Fi invited Mevia to join him the next day. Meanwhile, a blood-based technique triggered in the quiet night. Drawn by unease, Fi followed it, sword in hand, cautiously alert. Following the strange signal, Fi stumbled upon the wielder of a shadowy technique. It caught him off guard, but he didn't hesitate. He focused, preparing for confrontation under moonlit tension. Before conflict escalated, he realized it was a familiar figure training alone. A slip turned into a comic scolding. Laughter eased the tension, grounding Faye in the warmth of company. Faye calmed the mood, choosing peace over argument. He invited the others to fish, masking heavier thoughts. The talk shifted toward history, but tension lingered beneath their quiet smiles. As lines dipped into the sea, Faye asked about the Sarsens' kingdom. The legend of the rainbow flower emerged, an old tale of healing, sealed behind borders and monster-filled shores. They discussed how Linchel sought control of the island through political means. A queen's death, labeled suicide, became a tool. Faye quietly absorbed the weight behind a nation's masked truth. Faye excused himself quietly. A stranger called out, identifying him as the third prince. Calm but wary, Faye confirmed it. The stranger's cryptic words hinted at deeper recognition and intent. Without hesitation, the stranger activated an ability illusion play. Faye braced himself. The atmosphere changed. The man revealed he'd followed Faye's actions during the war, drawn by the weight of his name. Introducing himself as Rulesburg, an apothecary from Lynchel, the man praised Faye's sword. Faye's expression darkened. The name Rule triggered a tense memory, one that demanded immediate caution. Rule declared himself the immortal, often called a hero. His tone was light, but Faye remained cautious. As Rule departed with a smile, Faye watched closely. Unsure if he'd face danger, he said goodnight with thousands of meaning. As he laughed maniacally, he said that he will, looking forward to seeing him again pretty soon. At the Lynchel National Library, Faye quietly scanned the shelves, searching for the truth behind the rainbow flower. He found a book claiming the flower could cure all diseases. The book described a failed mission to retrieve the flower, with knights nearly dying. Faye found the story suspicious. The island sounded more dangerous than mystical, casting doubt on everything. Latifah dismissed the tale as hearsay. She noted the lack of historical support. Despite the legend's appeal, both agreed the story lacked credibility without stronger records or evidence. Faye urged Faye not to pursue the mythical flower. He casually dismissed the idea, mocking the thought of risking his life unless it involved protecting someone dear to him. Despite joking, Faye admitted he'd go if someone close was in danger. Faye, touched by his words, suggested he'd even go for her, but he deflected with awkward surprise. Their quiet moment ended as someone called for Faye. Realizing time had passed, he rejoined the group, brushing off the encounter as if it hadn't stirred anything deeper. Faye tried to slip away from an awkward meeting, but Fairy caught him. Despite his protests, she teased him about family ties, dragging him back into Mivia's orbit unwillingly. Later that night, Faye visited Varys unannounced, bringing a gift. Varys questioned the intrusion. Unimpressed, their conversation shifted toward deeper matters, hinting at personal motives behind Varys's planned conflict. Faye brought up the rainbow flower legend. Varys avoided the topic, pretending indifference, but Faye noticed inconsistencies. He knew Varys believed in the flower's existence and demanded to know why. Varys explained the legend, how the royal family descended from a princess cured by the rainbow flower, but her disease became hereditary, passing to future generations like his brother and father. Faye pieced together the truth. Mivia arranged for Clive, a childhood friend, to inform him. They hoped Varys would abandon war and focus solely on seeking the flower instead. Faye reasoned there's no need for war. Sardines allows entry with permission. If Varys only wants the flower, peaceful means exist. There's someone still alive who once returned from that island. Rule, the immortal, had survived that island 2 centuries ago. His ability to revive made him feared. Varys knew reaching the flower would need Rule, 30 soldiers, and 3 heroes. Even with Ushin's eye that sees everything, the survival rate only rises to 50%. She isolates herself now. The real issue isn't power, it's the lack of manpower. Faye warned that the Empire wouldn't tolerate war. If Varys acts recklessly, they'll crush Lynchel. But Varys refused to hear more, consumed by frustration, rejecting all peaceful alternatives. Varys erupted, overwhelmed by guilt and fear. He shouted at Faye, recalling endless thoughts since Rule's return. With his mother dead and his brothers sick, he couldn't accept helplessness. He confessed how long he'd clung to that plan. Believing it the only hope, even if dangerous, he resolved to act. Faye urged him to calm down. Listen. Faye, unfazed, offered another path. While Varys vented, Faye remained composed, pouring tea. He challenged Varys, avoid war. Strengthen the team, focus on solutions, not sacrifice. Varys slowly began listening. Faye calmly told Varys to rely on him. Varys, still hesitant, listened as Faye offered to join the journey, not just in spirit, but as someone who could help. Despite warnings about royal responsibilities, Faye argued his position didn't matter. He knew the risks, but insisted on helping. He cared deeply about Varys and the burden he carried alone. Watching Varys silently struggle, Faye reflected on his brother's state. Despite intelligence, Varys seemed lost. Faye hoped his brother would soon find his reason to live and stand on his own. Varys recalled Faye's quiet loneliness since childhood. Faye always smiled, but often seemed ready to vanish. Varys didn't want to lose him again. He wanted to be Faye's reason. Faye smiled gently, insisting he wouldn't die. Varys was stunned, but called him a fool. Faye refused to be written off, showing he valued his place beside his brother. If Varys was going to leave, Faye wanted no regrets. He urged him to go forward with clarity, not hesitation. Their bond was silent, but filled with deep understanding. Varys, desperate and unsure, begged Glyria for help. Glyria calmly agreed, already prepared. They discussed leaving Faye behind, trusting Fairy to guard him. Despite doubts, Glyria remained firm. Varys quietly watched Faye grow stronger beside Fairy. Each change was subtle but undeniable. He realized his younger brother needed support, not distance. His thoughts wavered, but he stayed quiet. Varys clarified he wouldn't ask for Fairy's involvement. Glyria accepted, promising to finalize the plan by morning. They ended the night quietly, emotions buried, the mission finally set to begin. Faye stood alone in the shadows, reflecting on old advice and the value of life. Latifah's odd knowledge gave him space to think. He wondered what kept him going before. His thoughts drifted back to the past losses endured, people he failed to protect. He lived with the hope of meaning, yet found nothing but a reason to die over again. Now he admitted the truth: he feared surviving only to lose loved ones again. His reason to live wasn't hope, but the desire to avoid that same pain once more. Despite his many promises to protect those close to him, Faye couldn't shake thoughts of death. He couldn't find a reason to live, only a vow not to let others die. A smile masked the uncertainty in his heart. Faye met Fairy in the corridor. She was relieved, but he surprised her with a solemn decision about their roles going forward. He told her to stop being his bodyguard. Fairy, confused and caught off guard, asked where he had gone. Faye simply stared, calling her name with quiet resolve. Faye declared he no longer needed a bodyguard. He claimed confidence in his own strength and dismissed Fairy's protection as unnecessary, stating she was stronger and shouldn't follow someone weaker. Though Fairy tried to resist, Faye silenced her with cold resolve. Her status didn't matter. He insisted she had no right to refuse his decision, leaving her shocked and speechless. Faye turned away from her, eyes cast low. Though his words were sharp, he hoped pushing Fairy away would send her to protect his brother instead. He quietly whispered, "I do not need you." Fairy struck Faye across the chest, knocking him back as she declared her refusal. She wouldn't stand aside just because he said she was weak or unnecessary. Challenging his arrogance, Fairy scolded him for forgetting how far they had come. She reminded him of a Phyrus, where he relied on others. Calmly, she drew her sword once more. With unwavering determination, Fairy stepped forward. She announced her decision to protect him again, not out of obligation, but of her own will. Her strength, she said, would speak through her sword. Fairy rushed outside the wall, ignoring warnings. She witnessed fallen enemies and knew it was Glyria's doing. Despite his past cowardice, he now stood alone, sword in hand. Seeing him from behind, she remembered the expression he wore, like someone who longed for death. He pushed others away, hiding guilt beneath the belief he was worthless. She realized he condemned himself to protect others, refusing happiness. Watching him fight, she shouted through her pain, not as a maid, but someone who cared. "Don't act like a baby." Faye examined the coast, searching for an ideal training ground. With determination, he summoned his shadow sword and prepared to test his strength. Fairy stood quietly, observing his stance. Faye's attack sliced through the air, displaying speed and control. Surprised but ready, Fairy caught the blade and stepped forward. Her expression turned serious as she accepted the challenge. They took position. Rules clear, no magic limits, no holding back. Faye demanded her best. As they faced off beside the sea, the outcome would depend on who yielded first. Faye made a promise: if he lost, he'd accept her terms without question. Fairy hesitated but listened. Something unspoken hung in the air, a hidden truth he wasn't ready to explain. Fairy reflected on her limits, accepting she'd grown overconfident. Despite fear, she stepped forward. On the field, Faye's determination surged. For his brothers and her sake, he wouldn't retreat. With resolve, Faye challenged her directly. If she wanted to stand by him, she had to prove him wrong. He wouldn't accept protection without proof that she was stronger. Fairy readied herself, magic swirling as she affirmed her resolve. She wouldn't back down. Her blade pointed forward, heart unwavering, as she charged straight at Faye to prove her worth. They sprinted toward each other. Faye prepared for impact, determined not to underestimate her. Their duel wasn't for pride, it was a test of belief, strength, and mutual respect. Fairy moved swiftly, overwhelming him with sharp bursts of power. Her strength had grown. Faye recognized it instantly. This was not the same girl from Aphris. She was far stronger now. Fi struggled to keep up, realizing she was chanting in spirit language power only elves could harness. Her precision, enhanced by spirit arts, pushed him into defensive footing immediately. Fairy's strikes grew sharper, her water magic intensifying with each move. Her coordination of swordplay and spirit arts showed discipline beyond a knight's. Fi began recognizing her as an equal. Fairy unleashed reverse water flow, a technique that overwhelmed Fi's stance. He watched her unleash raw potential, realizing she'd been holding back before. Now it was his turn to respond. Fi grinned, his magic swirling as black energy shot forward in a sweeping arc. It was a bold declaration. He was no longer holding back against Fairy's rising power. Fairy reacted instantly, summoning a wall of water to intercept the attack. The resulting clash sent shockwaves through the field. She braced herself, realizing the force behind Fi's intent. Through the smoke, Fi lunged again, closing the gap quickly. Fairy readied her blade as he shifted midair, eyes locked on her, aiming to strike from the upper front. Their swords clashed, sparks flying as Fi aimed a feint. He spun suddenly, landing a precise roundhouse that sent Fairy flying. She tumbled hard but regained footing without hesitation. Fairy slid across the soaked field, pain flashing through her arm. She steadied herself as water magic churned beneath her, bracing for another strike, blood mixing with determination. With her sword touched, Fairy realized she had been grazed. Her body trembled. Fi stood close. Neither had spoken, but both understood. This duel was far from over. The duel ended. Fairy stood, sword lowered, shaken by the words echoing in her mind, memories that demanded surrender. Doubts returned, voices from the past trying to break her resolve. As old scars resurfaced, Fairy heard the cruel commands that once defined her. Insults and orders from her past clawed at her pride. But this time, she chose to resist. With firm resolve, Fairy declared her will. She wouldn't retreat. She had a duty, a promise passed through generations. Her loyalty wasn't just to the throne, it was to her belief. Fairy confronted him, pleading not to act alone again. She knew his reasons, but feared losing him. Despite duty, she chose to stay beside him, refusing to let him go. Without hesitation, she declared her intent to follow, no matter the cost. Even when he warned her of pain, she accepted it. If force was needed, she'd still stay. Steel clashed as they began to fight, not as enemies, but as two wills colliding. He understood then she wouldn't abandon him. Her blade spoke louder than words ever could. Fairy admitted her ignorance of his pain, but offered support anyway. She asked only for him to believe that salvation would come one day, somehow through someone who truly cared. He listened as she promised hope. Though her words wavered, her will held firm. Determined to protect, she gathered her strength, summoning magic with purpose. The earth trembled as water surged. With full resolve, she called upon deeper power. She wasn't holding back anymore. Asking for strength from beyond, she invoked a spell. A massive torrent rose her answer, the water dragon. Fi stood frozen as the water dragon surged up before him. Fairy's magic formed a living barrier. Her will, solidified through water, demanded he stop and face her truth. Fairy stood between Fi and the water dragon she had summoned. Its presence towered, but she remained composed. The dragon accepted her command. Fi watched cautiously, uncertain of her next move. The dragon's voice echoed as it acknowledged her. Calm yet firm, Fairy reminded Fi to stay alert. The dragon began to dissolve, merging into her body to prepare for battle. Energy erupted as Fairy called again. Fi moved quickly, caught off guard. The dragon hadn't disappeared, it changed form. As water surged forward, Fairy's resolve intensified. She wouldn't back down now. Fairy stood confidently, her expressions sharp. Something within her had changed her pressure, her eyes. Fi watched, realizing she had awakened a deeper power. Something spiritual and ancient now guiding her actions. The dragon's presence within Fairy intensified. Fi recalled spiritualism, a rare skill where another existence possessed the user. Shocked, he accepted her strength. She declared the conditions lose when touched by the sea. Waves swirled around them. Fairy smiled knowingly, proud of her overwhelming control. Fi gritted his teeth, impressed. Despite everything, he welcomed the challenge. She had just rewritten the rules of engagement. Fairy summoned water with swift precision, launching herself forward. Fi barely reacted in time, forced into evasive movement. Her strikes were relentless, sharp, and left him no moment to counter properly. Each blow tested his reflexes. Fi analyzed her speed and intent, knowing he couldn't match her pace. Her aim was precise. His only option dodge and endure the mounting pressure. A powerful strike nearly landed, but Fi twisted just in time. Fairy pressed on, unrelenting. Fi braced, determined to fight back. Even as his arms cracked under the fierce assault, Fi launched forward, aiming to regain control. The blast struck hard but missed the sea. Fairy reevaluated, realizing his positioning still gave him mobility. Her tactic hadn't ended the match. He countered with a blood-based technique. Swords pierced the ground surrounding her. Fairy stared, alert. His resolve had not faded. Despite her injuries inflicted earlier, he stood without hesitation, unyielding. Fi, bruised and bleeding, rose again. Ribs cracked, pain sharp, but he advanced. Fairy, stunned by his endurance, smiled slightly. Against reason and injury, he pressed on, unwilling to fall. Despite his injuries, Fi stood firm, explaining his harsh training. Fairy challenged his resolve, ready to strike. Their opposing beliefs clashed. Both prepared their strongest techniques, determined to prove their convictions. Their powerful attacks collided violently, neither side yielding. Fairy misread the strategy while expecting a frontal strike. Fi aimed elsewhere. He had planned a feint to open an unexpected counterattack. Fi launched his true blow from below. Fairy's guard broke momentarily. He seized the moment and commanded binding magic, intent on ending the duel before she could recover again. Fi launched shadow binding, blocking Fairy's movement. Though surprised, she prepared to counter. Her strength made the restraint unstable. Fi didn't hesitate. He pushed forward, calling more blades from the shadows. Fairy reacted with magic, casting reverse water flow to counter. The swords pierced forward, but her spell disrupted their momentum. She braced herself for the next wave of strikes. Fairy summoned a powerful torrent, overwhelming the shadow blades. Water surged across the battlefield. Despite the chaos, Fi stood firm, ready to meet her force with unwavering resolve. Fairy's magic exploded outward, crashing into the earth with overwhelming force. Fi responded with a direct counterattack. They clashed fiercely, blades and spells colliding, shaking the ground beneath their feet. Amid falling debris, Fi closed the gap and struck. Fairy parried, but the impact pushed her back. Shadow swords erupted again, surrounding her as both combatants pushed past exhaustion. In a blur of motion, Fi launched forward. Fairy countered, but the water pressure surged. Their eyes locked, fists raised. The battle neared its climax as water and force collided. The maid screams as she tells that it will be a lose. They keep fighting here, and they're fiercely and strongly. This fight seems like ending pretty soon. Fairy crashed hard, the ground trembling beneath her. Fi pressed forward, relentless. Despite exhaustion, he declared victory, yet the battle hadn't ended. One final clash still loomed in silence. Fi was knocked into the ground by Fairy's crushing blow, but he forced himself up. Fairy acknowledged his strength, yet the duel's outcome still depended on the earlier stated rule. Rising, Fi reminded Fairy of the duel's condition. With calm precision, he removed his shoe and tossed it into the sea, exploiting the rule she had agreed to earlier. As her eyes widened in disbelief, Fi stepped down barefoot. He clarified the wording only body contact counted. With his foot in the sea, he declared the match over his win secured. Fi admits he made a deal with Fairy, avoiding serious harm during their duel. Though puzzled, she realizes he never intended to hurt her. His goal was never victory, just understanding. He reflects on his reasons. Watching loved ones suffer changed him. He doesn't want Fairy or anyone dear to him to face death. He chooses distance over putting others at risk. Years of wielding a sword brought only isolation. Even with strength, the weight never lifted. Now he fears not death, but surviving with the pain of losing someone he wished to protect. Fi remembers why he took up the sword again despite everything. He wanted to protect those he cared for. Still, he's torn, unsure if he wants to keep fighting or run. His thoughts spiral. Fi admits his contradictions and feelings of worthlessness. He calls himself a failure, a prince of no use. But deep down, he still seeks a meaningful end. Watching him, Fairy understands his pain. She silently acknowledges why the younger girl worries about him. Despite everything, Fi remains someone people care for because he chooses to carry their burdens. Fi realizes the warmth he receives from Fairy and his brother isn't something he can ignore. He won't change his resolve, but decides to keep living just a little longer. He gently comforts Fairy, who rests against him silently. With quiet acceptance, he tells her they'll return home together. The moment feels calm, as if a burden has lightened. Fi returns to his room and quietly apologizes for the delay. Alone now, his expression softens. Despite everything, he's still here wounded, uncertain, but finally allowing himself a little rest. Fi notices Fairy in her old uniform, evoking memories of past wars. As she heals him without hesitation, he reflects on old scars, both physical and emotional, with reluctant gratitude. He tries to dismiss her concern, but she insists on fully healing him, her way of atoning for causing those wounds. Their shared history quietly lingers as understanding grows between them. Fairy returns his sword. Fi accepts it without tension, drawing the blade to confirm its power. That moment signals the end of their clash and the quiet resumption of trust. Fi creates a dagger from his shadow power and tosses it to Fairy. She catches it, surprised, as he calmly tells her it's a symbol of his continued life. Fi explains the dagger's role: it will vanish if he dies. He acknowledges her strength despite past words. Fairy listens quietly, promising to avoid reckless choices, though she makes no guarantees. With a quiet pause, Fi makes one request: protect his brother. They exchange a long look, silent understanding passing between them, before Fairy closes her eyes, accepting his plea. Fairy accepts the shadow dagger and swears to protect Glaria with unwavering resolve. Fi watches silently, knowing she meant every word, trusting her to guard what he cannot. Fairy prepares to leave and rejoin Glaria, but Fi, tired, claims the sofa for a nap. Their exchange is relaxed but layered with silent concern and hints of fatigue. Fi grumbles, as Fairy asserts she'll still assign him a bodyguard. After she leaves, he sighs, resigned, and reflects quietly in the solitude of his room. Fi catches a group of soldiers slacking outside the headmaid's room. Instead of reporting them, he offers them a deal: serve as his bodyguards in exchange for his silence. With a sly grin, Fi convinces the reluctant group to cooperate. Holding a sealed letter, he begins planning something bigger, setting the next phase of his strategy in motion. At the conference room, military leaders discuss troop limits. Disberg's force is capped at 30. Raising tensions, Fi listens quietly, noting how politics shapes the battlefield before swords are drawn. The strategy meeting began with a mix of tension and resolve. Familiar faces filled the table, except for one. The unknown figure's presence raised silent questions no one dared ask aloud. They all look so serious and look kinda grim in this meeting soon to be. Just about now, there is a voice heard that the strategy meeting will begin really soon. Prince Glaria attended the council meeting, joined by an unfamiliar elf named Fairy. Tension rose as her presence was questioned, but her abilities had already been vouched for by a renowned hero. Fairy was asked to remove her dagger, raising concerns. Despite the rule permitting weapons, her blade made everyone uneasy. The prince inquired about its danger, prompting Fairy's cryptic, intense response. Fairy explained her vision could detect hidden forces. Though she usually suppressed this power, the dagger's overwhelming presence pierced through. Its aura stirred a dread visible only to her eye. Fairy's dagger radiated thick darkness and violent emotion. Lyshan sensed the danger. He calmly requested she release it. Unsure of its origin but disturbed by its overwhelming aura in the room, Fairy hesitated, recalling Faye's words. The dagger marked his survival. To her, it wasn't just a weapon, it was a lifeline. Removing it meant betraying that fragile reassurance. The others recognized the dagger belonged to Prince Faye. One recalled meeting him. Faye's trusted token couldn't simply be discarded. Lyshan's request, though reasonable, suddenly felt too heartless to enforce. Rule defended Fairy, reminding everyone she would risk her life for their mission. His words softened the mood. Lyshan apologized respectfully and Fairy bowed deeply, moved by their understanding. Fairy's sincerity earned their trust. Lyshan sensed no hostility from her, only pain and purpose. She introduced herself as Fairy von Uskald, the castle's head maid, hiding a noble strength. Shockspread Fairy was a priestess of the sacred mountain from the Lost Fong clan, a survivor of the vanished elves. Her presence stirred memories and questions buried for decades. Zeram Barbados revealed himself the hero and void user, normally an archaeologist. His power and presence silenced the room. Everyone now gathered was among the strongest forces in the land. The mission's objective was declared: recover the rare rainbow flower from an isolated island in Sardin's territory. Caution was urged. Even heroes risked death in such uncharted, perilous places. Plans were made to cross into Sarden Kingdom, then journey carefully to the island. Once there, the group would split into 3 teams, each carrying out vital tasks. Lyshan and Zerum formed the first group, tasked with retrieving the rainbow flower. The second group would protect the ship. The third group's mission? Lure monsters to minimize risk. Various volunteered for the third group, assuring he wouldn't be a burden. With no objections, the meeting ended. Everyone began preparations for the dangerous journey ahead. After the meeting, Glaria reflected. Various bore a magic seal, Lyshan's identity, Fairy's dagger, and the hero's words all hinted that this mission was far more complicated than expected. As guards hesitated outside Faye's room, Fairy assured them he was still sleeping. She calmly took charge, urging them to stay put, while she quietly slipped out alone. Fairy reached the rooftops, overlooking Lynchel's commercial district. Rumors of back-alley thugs lingered. Her escort protested, but she dismissed him gently, choosing to proceed alone through the hidden paths. Evading her bodyguard, Fairy hurried into the city's slums. She moved with precision, following vague directions through alleys and side streets, finally stopping at an old, inconspicuous door. Faye arrived at a shady door, seeking someone called Dana. A wary man blocked entry. Without an appointment or known connection, Faye was coldly told to go home. Faye turned to leave, but a group of armed thugs emerged. They mocked him, thinking he was a rich boy alone. Their plan: rob or ransom him without mercy. Unfazed, Faye sighed and assessed the threat. Calmly, he summoned his ability Spada, the shadow swords. The thugs prepared to strike, unaware they were already several steps behind him. The thugs charged recklessly. Faye's shadow sword struck swiftly, disabling them with clean, precise cuts. Screams filled the alley as they collapsed, overwhelmed by his unexpected and overwhelming power. Faye spared their lives, knowing they weren't true swordsmen. He calmly warned the guard any sudden move meant death. His tone held no doubt, and fear silenced the alleyway. With quiet authority, Faye revealed his identity. The third prince of Distburg, Fehens Distburg. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Everyone present realized they had underestimated someone far beyond them. Faye's declaration stunned them. He was the infamous Trash Prince. Confused and alarmed, the guard watched as Faye boldly presented a letter of recommendation and demanded a meeting with Zarek. With steady resolve, Faye explained his visit was endorsed by the florist Warwick. He came not as royalty, but with purpose to see the powerful and wealthy merchant, Dvorg Zarek. Faye was surprised to find that Dvorg Zarek was a woman. She explained the need for a male alias in business. Despite no appointment, she allowed him to speak. Zarek warned him no status could earn exceptions if he failed her standards. Coming without guards to a dangerous area showed arrogance. Faye's composure cracked as her power paralyzed him. Immobilized by her aura, Faye admitted he'd shaken his escort. He trusted Warwick's recommendation would suffice, and despite appearing careless, he came ready to speak with clear intent. Zarek's subordinate pinned Faye. Her strength was real, testing him. Zarek watched calmly, revealing it was a trial of character. Faye remained composed, realizing he was the one being judged. Faye apologized for his earlier tone. Zarek accepted, signaling the test's end. With mutual respect established, she asked for his reason. Faye stated his request. A strong ship. Faye clarified he wanted a vessel that could sail directly to the Demon Island, not just Sarden's kingdom. Zarek was skeptical, warning of deadly sea monsters and forbidden waters. Faye acknowledged the dangers entering the Demon Island without a suicidal. Still, he chose this risky route to protect others who would take the safer path. He wasn't afraid of dying. If swinging his sword for others gave meaning to his life, then he would embrace that fate, even if it cost him everything. Zarek recognized Himfaihenza Distburg, the Trash Prince. Faye accepted the title without shame. His recklessness made sense to her now. She saw not a fool but resolve. Zarek questioned Faye's worth, mocking his lack of common sense. She saw no reason to risk resources for someone who couldn't even offer her a single benefit in return. She pressed harder, calling his plan foolish and self-centered. To her, swinging a sword for others held no value unless it yielded gain. Faye had nothing, no leverage, no worth. Faye lowered his head, admitting defeat. He confessed he had nothing, not status, not power, not even purpose. Just an empty will and the resolve to stand, even without reward. Zarek's words echoed in Faye's mind. Meanwhile, a match ended in defeat, despite receiving support. A loud cry of frustration erupted. Lattice had lost again. proving persistence alone wasn't enough. A mentor scolded Lattice, insisting real men never quit and must persist, especially before women, but Lattice, now one-armed, reflected quietly some things were more valuable than pride or strength. Lattice declared his lost arm was proof he protected someone dear. That memory fueled Faye's resolve. He understood now protecting what matters is worth any cost. Quietly he whispered, "Yeah, I will." Tiara admitted she only wanted to protect him. Flustered, he questioned her timing, unsure if it was sincerity or punishment for defeat. Their awkward exchange left emotions hanging between honesty and denial. Their teasing turned to bickering. Tiara reminded him she had saved him more than once. He fired back, determined to become strong enough to protect her in return someday. Pointing with confidence, he promised to be her savior next time. Tiara, touched by his words and spirit, smiled warmly and replied softly, "Okay. I'll be looking forward to that." Tiara's hopeful words echoed, but regret clouded his heart. He longed for a second chance, knowing what was lost couldn't return. That memory marked a pain he couldn't erase. Faye admitted he had nothing of value. He wasn't a negotiator or hero, just a fool who only knew how to fight. He didn't expect a fair trade. Even understanding his selfishness and how little it meant, Faye didn't waver. He placed his sword forward not as an offering, but as the only truth he could give. Faye remembered his promise. He couldn't let anyone else die. With determination, he bowed deeply, offering to accept any condition. His voice trembled, but his plea was clear and sincere. With raw desperation, Faye begged for a ship. He confessed his desire to protect those who still lived. His resolve moved the room into silence as he clutched his sword. Zurich surprisingly agreed. Despite protests, she acknowledged his spirit. She granted his request but reminded him, a prince should never bow so easily. Faye stood stunned yet grateful. Zurich confirmed the deal. Faye promised to keep his word. She scheduled the ship, assigned a sailor, and warned him if he didn't return within a day, consequences awaited. As Zurich exited, Faye reflected on her surprising agreement. Though her tone was strict, she accepted easily. With transportation secured, Faye relaxed only for someone to suddenly shout his name. Caught off guard, Faye was embarrassed by the public scene. Observing from above, Zurich laughed. Despite his simple request, she felt something noble in him, a true prince after all. Zurich revealed she had made a secret bet with a shady pharmacist. If the boy with blonde hair and red eyes came, she had to fulfill his request. Faye's sincerity, composure, and quiet resolve impressed Zurich. Despite mocking him, she acknowledged his strength. If he returned alive, this wouldn't just be a fulfilled bet, it'd be a valuable alliance. Zurich accepted the gamble. Preparing the ship, she watched Faye depart. If he succeeded, she'd gain more than profit, she'd connect with a future hero. 2 days later, the ship sailed. With the ship prepared, the group gathered at the docks. Glyria gave a quiet signal, and Fairy nodded. They were ready to leave, no fanfare, just quiet readiness to fight. Faye gripped his sword tightly and looked toward the ocean. Ahead lay Demon Island. With quiet steps, he moved forward, carrying only determination and the will to protect what mattered. 3 days after Gliria's departure, Faye prepared to leave. Zurich explained the ship's speed and origin. Rumors of dragons stirred unease, but Faye accepted the risks, determined to move forward. Zurich reminded Faye that the ship was borrowed, not his to keep. Faye promised to return it safely. By now, Gliria's group had likely reached the Sardan Kingdom's port. In Sardan's bustling capital, Zyram and Lyshan avoided the crowds. Despite the marketplace's fame, they preferred distance. Zyram especially disliked noise as attention was focused elsewhere, and his mind unsettled. Lyshan sat in silence, unsure how to use her free time. A soldier explained, she and Zyram must grow familiar. Unlike the others, they hadn't fought side by side. For the mission to succeed, cooperation between Lyshan and Zyram was essential. As she held her dagger tightly, another soldier noticed and asked, "What kind of person is Prince Faye?" Lyshan admitted she didn't understand Faye. He was called trash, yet turned tides in war. Despite hearing stories, his true nature remained a mystery even as she clutched his gift. Faye reflected on Faye. Though he called himself trash, he carried burdens alone. Kind, clumsy, and easy to read, he never hid his intentions, even when he tried to. She admitted Faye was important, as was Prince Glyria. She couldn't afford to die not with their trust. Zyram remarked on the weight she carried, serving a master so difficult. A dragon reflected, Faye sought death, not out of rage but loneliness. Though powerful, he fought recklessly. If Fairy died, it would pull Faye deeper into that darkness. Fairy vowed to survive not just for herself, but to prevent Faye from facing despair alone. Lyshan agreed. They had people to protect, and a mission they had to finish. Lyshan asked Zyram to join her. Though he replied indifferently, he followed. Together they browsed equipment in the marketplace, preparing quietly but thoroughly for the dangerous journey ahead. Just as they finished, Lyshan spotted someone in the crowd, Faye and Prince Various. Suddenly she rushed forward without hesitation, as if pulled by an unseen force toward them. Lyshan sensed a deadly intent. Her eyes locked onto a black-haired girl at a market stall filled with hatred. Someone planned to kill her, and Lyshan couldn't ignore the danger. Without hesitation, Lyshan dashed toward the girl. She entrusted Zyram with her safety, then disappeared into the crowd, driven by instinct. The girl, calm, unaware, smiled from the olive oil stall. Lyshan confirmed the girl's identity. Her instincts had been right, but something was off. A blonde-haired man appeared instead. Could he be the threat? Confusion swirled as tensions quietly rose. Lyshan realized the blonde man wasn't the threat. She screamed for Fairy to stop, but it was too late. The real attacker, hidden, lunged toward the black-haired girl with a knife. Fairy panicked. The pillars blocked her path, apologizing to the princess. She snatched a dagger and hurled herself forward, hoping to intercept the attacker before it was too late. Fairy tackled the attacker just in time. A struggle broke out. As the blade flashed dangerously close, the weight of responsibility and urgency burned in Fairy's determined, wide-eyed gaze. Lyshan's vision and Zyram's swift action made a perfect team. Fairy praised them. Rule appeared, pleased with their cooperation, and admitted the free time had clearly paid off. Fairy thanked Rule, but noticed his bleeding hand. He had grabbed the dagger during the scuffle, costing him 3 fingers. Despite the pain, he downplayed the injury casually. Rule refused healing magic, injecting himself with a recovery agent instead. As his fingers snapped back into place, everyone looked on, stunned by his pain tolerance and strange composure. Rule casually mentioned his blood was poisonous and warned Fairy to wash the dagger carefully. After handing over the attacker, they prepared to leave, with Sardan soldiers soon to arrive. Various explained Rule's regeneration ability came from a drug he created. It rapidly healed wounds and enhanced physicality, but only worked for him. Anyone else would go mad or die instantly. Rule experimented on his own body, claiming it was for saving lives. Despite appearing young, he had lived over 50 years. His immortality, a side effect of the dangerous drug. Various explained that Rule poisoned his own blood to become bait for monsters. Fairy reflected, Rule and Faye both shoulder burdens silently, living recklessly but always pushing forward. Fairy compared them both hurried lives with heavy responsibility. Each person headed to the Demon Island had personal reasons. Even she shared that unspoken urgency and sense of unfinished purpose. Various acknowledged Faye's intent, sending his brother instead of intervening. He praised Faye's capability, but reminded himself of his duty. He must prove his dignity as the older brother now. Faye and Fairy marched side by side, ready to face their next trial. Faye gave the signal. Fairy acknowledged, prepared to follow him without hesitation. Their mission was about to begin. The boat was loaded and waiting. Faye addressed the group, confirming their readiness. All eyes turned serious. With no hesitation, he gave the command. They would now sail for the island. The wind picked up as their ship left the harbor. Faye stared ahead, voice calm but firm. With his allies behind him, he declared their destination Demon Island, where danger surely awaited. In the dark woods, monstrous beasts stirred at an unfamiliar presence. Shadows shifted. One figure observed a ship approaching from afar, grinning sharply. The island would not welcome its new guests peacefully. We can see a mouth grinning widely, and he said that he noticed a ship ahead and meaning someone is coming towards here. Rule ran through the forest, wounded and desperate. He needed just one flower. Losing strength, he stumbled upon ancient ruins at the island's center and saw it blooming alone. Breathing hard, Rule stepped forward, eyes locked on the flower. Its petals shimmered under moonlight. He knew nothing else mattered. If he could claim it, the mission might still succeed. From the ship, the team spotted land. Ferris confirmed their location. Fairy watched in silence as Demon Island came into view, dangerous, cursed, but holding what they had to obtain. The group arrived at Demon Island's shore, staying cautious of nearby marine monsters. Ancient traces revealed past hero activity. Rule warned them the field stank of blood, and the air felt wrong. A loud cry echoed something was approaching. The team prepared for battle. Lyshan received instructions for retreat. Zyram stepped forward steady. Rule gave her a flare gun and a dire warning. Rule promised to keep his word. Zyram quietly acknowledged the risk of death. With final glances exchanged, the team split. Lyshan clung tightly. The mission to find the flower began. A dragon appeared, soaring above the trees. The squad mistook it for a bird until panic set in. Everyone raised their weapons as the creature roared and launched a sudden attack. The dragon struck hard. Gloria was nearly hit, but Rule pulled him away. With urgency, they retaliated. One member aimed for the wing. We need to bring it down now. Lyshan activated her magic, reverse water flow. She commanded. A massive torrent blasted toward the sky. Fairy responded immediately. Together they aimed the water force to trap the dragon midair. Fairy launched himself toward the dragon, blade drawn. The creature swerved midair, but couldn't avoid the strike. His sword connected. Calmly, he muttered, cutting its head wouldn't be so easy. With the dragon stunned, Fairy activated his spell, Gravity. The beast was smashed into the earth. It writhed in pain, wings broken. The others watched, stunned by the sheer force. Bleeding but composed, Fairy explained the spell. His power manipulated gravity if the target touched him. Though imperfect, his strength impressed everyone. Endless gravity, they whispered. He smiled, disliking the name. Fairy noticed the slain monster was far too weak. It didn't match the legends. The truth emerged: it was only a scout, sent to gauge their strength for a greater threat. The group discussed the word familiar. Rule revealed it referred to beasts linked to a master. These monsters came from another world, summoned by a demon that lived on the island. The slain familiar would alert its master. New monsters would arrive, stronger and more numerous. As the ground shook, they appeared. The party stood firm. This was only the beginning. They searched for the rainbow flower. The outer island lacked strong magic, but the central part held promise. Despite no monsters in sight, urgency and focus guided their determined advance. Using magic detection, they located multiple flowers in the center. Suddenly, a terrifying vision struck. Lyshan collapsed, panicked. She foresaw disaster, everyone dying. The danger was near. No time remained, as predicted. Monsters flooded the battlefield. Warriors struggled against the relentless waves. Blood spilled. A dark beast lunged. Despair set in. It seemed endless death circled closer with every brutal second. Chaos spread across the battlefield. Healers struggled to keep up. The monsters evolved rapidly, faster than anyone predicted. Retreat plans crumbled. They realized escape was no longer an option. As fear took root, a mysterious figure emerged. Among the beasts, he walked like one of them. Tension gripped the soldiers. The true threat had finally arrived. Whispers confirmed it: he belonged to the most dangerous race. Once honored, now exiled for violence. His presence signaled devastation. The strongest had come. Everything was about to change forever. The vampire revealed himself, exuding deadly confidence. His aura silenced the air. The warriors realized instantly this enemy couldn't be allowed to speak, move, or strike. He was absolute danger. A preemptive attack was launched, but it was too late. The vampire parried with ease, drawing his sword in one fluid motion. The hero's heart sank with rising fear. Mocking laughter echoed as their blades clashed. The vampire smiled, amused by the desperate strike. The hero's resolve tightened. This wasn't just a battle, it was survival against overwhelming power. The vampire grinned with twisted delight, announcing his next move. As others retreated, he unleashed gravity magic, tearing through the battlefield, leaving rubble and beasts crushed beneath overwhelming force and pressure. Despite being caught in the blast, the vampire emerged unharmed. Amused, his body sank slowly. Observing his foe's magic, he acknowledged it but prepared his counterattack, brushing off the strike with ease. In a flash, the vampire closed the distance, his tail lashing out. Their blades clashed again, or he smirked confidently, declaring the hero's strength insufficient. "It's too weak," he whispered coldly. Gloria took a direct hit, his body pierced by the vampire's merciless strike. The group screamed in panic. Blood spilled. The vampire sneered. Fear froze everyone until a sudden crack echoed nearby. The elf-eared girl called out to Gloria, and Siem got slashed with blood splatting around massively here and there, basically everywhere. Gloria took a fatal blow, shielding his allies. The vampire's strike hit deep, shocking everyone. Ferocious rage followed. Rocks rose around the enemy. He retaliated with violent magic, shattering the battlefield. Despite the counterattack, the vampire moved through the dust unharmed. He rushed forward again. Gloria met him midair, striking with resolve. Healing magic was prepared. A command rang, "Treat him, now." As comrades rushed Gloria's bleeding body away, the enemy showed no hesitation. Explosive force clashed with desperation. Time ran short. Everyone knew without treatment, Gloria might not survive the next minute. Gloria's lung was pierced, and healing magic failed. Desperation grew. She trembled, then vowed to save him. The others gathered, uncertain. She invoked stronger magic, willing to risk herself for his life. Power surged as she channeled everything into the spell. Light burst around them. The others watched, stunned. Her healing worked. Gloria's life stabilized, but the land trembled with enemy movement nearby. They regrouped. Orders were issued: lure the enemy, protect Gloria. One soldier volunteered to buy time. He stepped forward alone, calm. "Your turn comes later," he said, preparing to face danger alone. Fairy prepared to stall the enemy, instructing the others to retreat if the signal flared. He knew the risk, yet his resolve stayed firm. This was his role, even if alone. The enemy descended, recognizing Fairy from a past encounter. 10 years had passed, but the grudge remained. Fairy mocked him, recalling old wounds. His return reignited a conflict left unfinished. A fierce strike shattered the ground. The vampire grinned. Sword drawn, thirsting for payback, Fairy stood ready, knowing that expression. It was the face of one obsessed with revenge. Fairy launched a surprise attack, recalling his grudge. Fueled by resentment, he vowed to kill. His resolve was firm. This battle was a chance given by the prince to repay everything. Charging recklessly, Fairy struck with all his strength. But the vampire countered. In a swift movement, he grabbed Fairy's throat and crushed it, taunting him. Fairy's body went limp instantly. The vampire mocked Fairy's humanity, claiming a normal man would be dead. But Fairy stood up, bloodied but alive, his body trembling, unwilling to fall. Even with a shattered neck, Fairy charged at the vampire, pain ignored, driven by will alone. Despite heavy wounds, he attacked relentlessly. The vampire mocked him, amused by the self-destructive power Fairy kept unleashing. Their battle intensified. Fairy's body moved beyond exhaustion, limbs breaking. The vampire laughed cruelly, recalling Fairy's past defeat. Fairy, barely standing, prepared a hidden counterattack. Determined to change the outcome, Fairy unleashed a syringe hidden in his mouth, filled with a desperate drug. Bloodied but defiant, he stared at the vampire, refusing to fall. The final clash was coming. Gloria is stabbed through the chest by the vampire. Despite the pain, he refuses to flee. With one working eye and poison in his system, he vows to fight. Gloria lunges forward, stabbing the vampire with sheer resolve. The vampire laughs, taunting him, calling his rage genuine. They clash violently, both bloodied but determined to finish what was started. Though crushed and mocked, Gloria refuses to yield. He roars his defiance, swearing to kill or die trying. The vampire laughs, recognizing Gloria's resolve as the true essence of battle. Just as Rule collapses, Zyram appears, chaining the enemy and pulling him back. Ignoring orders, Zyram risks everything. Rule protests, but Zyram insists he won't let him fight alone. Zyram calls Rule arrogant for trying to shoulder everything. He activates a magical seal declaring he too is prepared. Power surges through him as he readies to face the threat. With glowing chains and a powerful seal overhead, Zyram stands tall. He won't retreat anymore. He will fight beside Rule, no longer running. Vowing to carry the burden together, Zyram confronts the enemy, revealing the magical seal isn't his own. He explains his bloodline's gift Pharesia passed down through the Lynchel royals, enabling him to wield powerful magic despite lacking talent. Announcing himself as the second prince of Lynchel, Varys demands peace if the enemy cooperates. But the offer is ignored. The enemy laughs, preferring battle over surrender, declaring a deathmatch. With diplomacy failed, Varys joins Rule. He pledges to fight by his side, refusing to let him bear the burden alone. Rule, injured yet determined, smiles grimly, accepting the support. Rule launches Pharesia with Varys, their chains striking in unison. Fueled by defiance and resolve, they confront the vampire. Varys refuses weakness, embracing the title of talentless prince with pride. Rule and Pharesia launched a binding spell, attempting to restrain the opponent. Yet, he broke free easily, countered swiftly, and left them shocked by his overwhelming strength and sharp awareness. Despite the chains, he evaded every move, reading their patterns flawlessly. As the fight intensified, his precision and instinct forced both attackers to acknowledge his superior combat sense. With a calm stance, he parried the next blow. Praise followed. He lacked magic, but excelled in everything else. The prince's true ability revealed itself. Unmatched intuition and relentless martial talent. Despite their teamwork, their opponent launched a devastating counter. The prince watched calmly, already anticipating. A new figure emerged composed, confident someone dangerous. The next phase of the battle had begun. The enemy's poison worked, disrupting their defenses. Even powerful warriors faltered. The prince analyzed the effect, frustrated by his own wound, while new threats appeared. Something darker stirred beneath the surface. A monstrous creature burst forth, feasting on spilled blood. The prince warned his allies this foe shared vision and strength with the vampire. A fatal mistake now could cost them everything. The enemy revealed himself a vampire. He drank blood mid-battle and unleashed a deadly attack. Pharezia's shout came too late. Rule threw himself into harm's way to shield the prince. Poison pierced Rule's body, but he had the antidote. Barely holding on, he warned others of its lethality. The vampire mocked humanity's weakness. Thriving on their hesitation and emotional attachments, rage twisted the vampire's face. He condemned humans for their empathy, declaring only killing intent matters in battle. His bloodlust rose, promising a brutal lesson in pure, ruthless strength. The vampire's attack swept wide, nearly missing. The prince dodged, shouting a warning. Illyria rushed to shield a comrade. Time slowed. Her instincts screamed. The cursed blade spun toward her. Illyria trembled, torn between duty and fear. She braced herself, muttering apologies. Around her, retreat was called but too late. A flicker of steel pierced the air toward her back. She gasped. The black blade struck, yet faltered. Its force dulled, embedding in the ground instead. Silence followed. Confusion and relief flickered across her face. Something or someone had altered its course. Dark tendrils shot downward, freezing Illyria in fear. Everyone braced for death, but the cursed attack twisted away. A mysterious force intervened, shielding the group from certain destruction without explanation. Illyria's eyes widened. A small, familiar spirit appeared to spade a long thought lost. As everyone processed its return, a new attack formed. The vampire, unfazed, prepared another massive slash to finish the fight. The dark wave ripped across the battlefield, tearing through rock and soil. The prince leapt forward, bracing to block it. The blast approached fast, threatening to annihilate everyone ahead. Illyria recalled the charm she left behind. Smiling gently, she called out to the prince. He stood firm before the vampire, questions rising about his power and the elf's silence. The vampire sensed something. He demanded to know why she didn't fight. Just then, Rule and Pharesia attacked. Both shouted, reminding him that his true opponent stood behind him. The vampire refused to yield. He shoved forward, ignoring their cries. Rule intercepted him again, but the dark strike landed hard. Blood burst out. The prince's path was still blocked. The battlefield shook as the dark wave faded. Rule coughed blood, barely standing. Pharesia fought on. Illyria guarded the injured. The vampire pressed forward with no pause, targeting the prince again. Pharesia clashed blades, holding his ground. Illyria hesitated, unsure if she could use her power again. The enemy mocked her silence. Pressure rose. They were running out of time and strength. Illyria panicked. Using too much magic could risk the prince, but holding back would guarantee defeat. The vampire grinned coldly. Without hesitation, he dashed forward, aiming to finish everything in one strike. The vampire slammed the maid into the rock wall. Panic spread. He stepped toward Illyria coldly, stating he would kill the prince next. Glaria fell, barely breathing. Everyone froze. Illyria screamed as the prince collapsed. In that silence, a memory stirred of stars, the quiet garden, and unspoken feelings. A question echoed from the past. Do you like stars? She remembered his distant voice, their shared loneliness. He had always watched from afar. Regret filled her heart. She had never truly spoken to him, not once, since Phi was born. She once thought he was strange, distant, cold, withdrawn. As his older brother, He'd given up on reaching him, but slowly he realized he was wrong. The boy was simply hurt. Watching stars brought calm. The younger brother, quiet and curious, offered to share that peace. They sat together and for the first time spoke without walls or hesitation. They laughed softly, sharing the sky. Their bond, long ignored, began to mend. For a moment, time paused. Two brothers, once divided, united again under a sky full of stars. He remembered reaching for his brother's hand and it being held. That single moment proved kindness still lived inside him. So he swore to keep reaching, no matter the silence. Bruised but defiant, the prince commanded his own body to move. He wouldn't die not yet. He had a promise left, stars still uncounted. A reason to stand again. The vampire struck hard. Dust rose. The prince endured the pain, laughing. His spirit wouldn't break. Even the enemy paused, realizing this prince, underestimated, might be more trouble than expected. The prince, bloodied and weakened, refused to fall. Others rushed forward in desperation. The vampire dismissed him coldly, calling his final words dull, unaware of what was about to come. Just as the vampire advanced, a sharp movement caught his eye. From the cliffside, a new figure leapt forth, sword drawn, eyes fierce, heading straight for the heart of battle. The vampire froze. Shock widened his eyes. The newcomer struck fast, fist connecting hard. The prince's brother had arrived just in time, his entrance turning fear into hope once again. He descended rapidly, blade ready. The vampire turned, startled. Everyone watched in awe. The boy's resolve was clear. His target, protect the prince. His mission stopped the vampire's assault now. He landed hard, launching a powerful slash Zangieki. The impact shook the cliff. Dust and force spread wide. He ordered the prince to run, no hesitation. He had chosen his stand. With the prince injured behind him, he raised his sword again. His stance unshaken, no fear, no retreat. The final line of defense now stood a lone figure facing death head-on. Fai's sudden appearance shocked everyone. Confronted, he couldn't explain himself. He'd acted alone out of fear. He wanted to protect, but not admit why. His heart was full of contradictions. He denied his connection to his brother and friends, pushing them aside. But inside, he knew the truth. He didn't want to see them as precious, afraid he'd lose them too. His inner wall cracked. He realized his fear wasn't weakness but love. Trembling, he gripped his sword. His voice clear now. I was scared to lose them. That fear became resolve. Fai cried out, declaring them his family no different from anyone else. He leapt into danger, determined to protect them himself. His fear became strength. His hesitation replaced by certainty. The vampire's attack cut through the field. Fai blocked, shouting for Fairy to escape. The enemy smirked, calm and lethal. One clean strike, he believed, would end it all. But Fai moved again, his form sharper. The vampire noticed it, this new intent. Another nature awakened within him, a rising resolve unlike before. This boy wouldn't break so easily now. Steel clashed. Fai blocked the vampire's furious strikes. Sparks flew. The duel intensified. Despite the overwhelming pressure, Fai stood firm, refusing to back down. His resolve burned brighter than fear. Fai unleashed Zangieki once more. The vampire scoffed unimpressed. But Fai wasn't done. With a shout, he activated Shadowbind, trapping the enemy's feet. The battlefield turned in an instant. The vampire thrashed, laughing maniacally. But Fai charged forward, undeterred. Their blades collided again. Light and shadow twisted as their wills clashed, one desperate to protect, the other craving chaos and blood. Fai blocked the vampire's strike, but was kicked away violently. Dust exploded. He rolled, breath shallow. The vampire gave no pause, another slash came, relentless and dark as ever. Fai staggered behind cover. His strength was lacking, no enchanted gear. Doubt surfaced, memories of past scorn whispered in his mind. He questioned everything. What could he possibly do now? Then he laughed, mad, wild but certain. He stood tall, eyes alive. It's wrong to say I can't. Sword ready, he faced forward, his will no longer shaken. As allies watched anxiously, Fai invoked the swords. Darkness rose. He stood firm, arms lifted. This wasn't desperation. It was a strategy born from resolve and a connection to something deeper. Fai's shadow transformed. He explained calmly, if a form changes, the shadow follows. But what if reversed? The vampire realized too late. Fai's technique rewrote his form through the memory of his shadow. To survive before, Fai had become a weapon. Now, through the shadow's memory, he called that strength back. His body remembered the suffering and the strength of that distant, merciless battlefield. Phi's transformation was complete, his body wrapped in living shadows. The vampire froze, surprised. A new aura surrounded Phi, darker and sharper. This was the form born from pain and survival. With no warning, Phi launched forward. The vampire reacted too late. Swords clashed, but Phi moved faster, lighter. His steps echoed with intent. The real fight had just begun. Phi's speed stunned his enemy. The shadows enhanced every move. He's fast. The vampire gasped. Phi struck again. This wasn't the same boy. He was something far more dangerous now. Their swords clashed again. Phi landed a hit, but it was shallow. The vampire grinned, amused. Blood dripped, but not enough. He laughed wildly, savoring the thrill of real battle. The vampire declared this his luckiest day. Their duel confirmed it. Phi was like him, not by heritage, but in craving combat. He saw a reflection of himself in Phi. Magic circles spun beneath him. "Let's fight until one of us dies," he said. His bloodlust rose. Phi's resistance had awakened a deeper, darker challenge he now fully welcomed. The vampire mocked him, questioning Phi's purpose. "You came to protect, don't lie. You came to kill." His laugh echoed cruelly. Phi remained silent, his shadow coiling with resolve. Phi's eyes narrowed. "Don't compare me to you." He knew the sword was cursed, heavy with death. But he accepted it if that's what it took to protect the others. He reflected on his guilt and failures. Even burdened by death, he had only this sword. With hell ahead, he stepped forward. One weapon, one resolve, he would protect them. Phi recalled his mentor's words: "Protect what matters, even at the cost of your life." Voices of the past returned. He stood tall. His blade and will were finally aligned. Illyria vowed too. No more weakness, no more fear. Together, they would protect what's important. Their paths different, but their hearts now shared the same resolve this time. They'd get it right. Phi roared back at the vampire, fury burning. "Just die already," he shouted. The vampire grinned, calling him a lunatic. The clash between ideals and madness was reaching its peak. The battle escalated. Blades and shadows clashed furiously. Phi claimed control over endless shadows, ready to summon armies. The vampire laughed, asking if his magic had the blood to sustain it. Monsters surged from blood magic. The vampire refused to slow. "If I lack blood, I'll just gather more," he declared. Soldiers panicked. Phi's shadow moved fast to intercept them. Spada struck, saving the soldiers. The vampire's gaze narrowed. "That face annoys me," he muttered, eyeing Phi. The tension mounted. Their battle had become more than power, it was personal now. The vampire mocked him again. "Your eyes piss me off," he sneered. "Carrying something on your back? Don't fool yourself." His disdain for Phi's resolve twisted into something venomous. He claimed Phi's sword was no symbol of justice, just another Reaper's blade. "You fight not for them," he said, "but for ghosts." Phi listened, shaken, but not broken. "You failed to protect them," the vampire pressed, "and now you fight from guilt. That's weakness." He roared, demanding Phi abandon those emotions if he hoped to survive the battlefield. The vampire mocked Phi's pain, urging him to die if he missed the past so much. Phi exploded in rage, defiant, desperate. "You know nothing about me," he shouted. "Why do you fight?" The vampire asked, taunting. "For the dead? For atonement?" He smirked, slashing forward. "You call it protection, but you just want to die with a purpose." Phi staggered, blood dripping. The vampire's words cut deep. "If I were them, I'd kill you for talking like that." Phi trembled, his hand clenched tightly around his bleeding resolve. The vampire summoned a blood blade barrier, deadly and invisible. Phi braced himself, but the assault began. Countless blades spun in, slicing through shadows. This attack drained blood instead of blocking it. Phi struggled inside the barrier. His technique was dispersed too early. The vampire smiled coldly. Spada called out, alarmed. The blood dome pulsed like a living trap, hungry for more. The vampire advanced. "You dropped your guard," he said. Phi winced from the wound. "No," the vampire corrected. "You flinched from my precision." He mocked Phi's half-hearted swordsmanship with confidence, despite the vampire's relentless trap. Fai instinctively avoided fatal wounds. His movements proved he hadn't reached his limit yet. The vampire grinned, eager for a battle worthy of his obsession. The vampire summoned his largest and greediest familiar, a monstrous beast. It would devour everything alive. Unstoppable and insatiable, it charged forward. The soldier stood frozen, facing impending destruction. Eyes filled with malice, the vampire pressed his cruelty further. He vowed to crush everything Fi held dear. With fury and glee, he turned Fi's past into his next weapon. Fi cried out, pushing his body past its limit. Visions of those he'd failed filled his mind. He swore not to repeat it. If someone must die, it would be him. Chains bound the rampaging monster. Spada and Glaren worked together, but it wasn't enough. Fi's injuries slowed him. The beast roared, testing their hold. A critical moment was approaching fast. Determined not to fall behind, Fi invoked gravity magic. Straining every muscle, he showed what his brother could truly do, unleashing a final burst to restrain the beast with crushing force. The fierce battle rages as the heroes struggle to restrain a monstrous creature. Despite their efforts, the beast remains defiant, roaring loudly while crushing the terrain beneath it. One fighter braces for another attack. The young warrior dodges the monster's violent strike and sees the sword shatter upon its tough skin. The team struggles, especially as their magic wielder has no power left to aid the fight. Realizing their desperation, the group acknowledges the monster's strength. They plan to press forward despite the setbacks. Aware that defeating the beast is their only option to survive this brutal confrontation, the boy struggles inside his shadowy form, hearing a shout urging him to come out. Memories of time spent with his teacher and friends weigh on him deeply, filling him with resolve. He reflects on his past failures and promises made. Despite the pain and fear, he understands the need to stand firm and protect those he loves, even if it costs his life. Encouraged by his teacher's words, he gathers strength and prepares to fight. A warning is given that failure will bring death. The boy's determination ignites as he faces the battle ahead. The protagonist struggles fiercely, realizing his shadow's sword cannot cut through the enemy's defenses. Despite his efforts, the powerful creature endures, and the battle intensifies with relentless shadows swirling fiercely around. Desperation grows as the hero's sword breaks on contact. His ally struggles to use magic, but is drained. The opponent remains dominant, forcing them to find new ways to fight back. Summoning all his resolve, the protagonist unleashes a massive attack. Directing a dark, spiraling energy toward the monstrous foe, the shadow energy strikes fiercely, aiming to overwhelm the enemy with unyielding force. The battle intensifies as the protagonist pushes through exhaustion, launching a desperate attack. His eyes reflect determination and pain, calling out to Verno while striking fiercely against his opponent's defenses. The clash shakes the ground, shadows swirling wildly. Both fighters are battered but refuse to yield, their rivalry culminating in a fierce confrontation that will decide their fates.